In February 1888, the Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh moved from Paris to the Provençal city of Arles in the south of France. There, in the month of August, he painted this portrait of the gardener and former ox herd, Patience Escalier. Portrait of a Peasant is currently on loan from the Norton Simon Museum in Pasadena for a special presentation in the Frick's Oval Room. In connection with this presentation, conservators at the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles conducted a comprehensive technical examination in order to learn more about Van Gogh's execution of the painting. This examination has made clear that while the picture appears spontaneously and vigorously painted, Van Gogh's process was in fact a deliberate and thoughtful one. It involved multiple sessions in front of the easel, careful planning of the composition, and the controlled layering of paint and buildup of tones, all in the pursuit of specific coloristic and textural effects. Van Gogh was struck by the color, light, and customs of his new environment, and he set out to capture the distinctive characteristics of Arles and its people in his work. From Arles, he wrote frequently to his brother Theo, pictured here. Theo lived in Paris and worked as an art dealer. He would place Vincent's orders for painting supplies, such as rolls of canvas and tubes of paint. In these late years of the 19th century, artists customarily purchased canvas that was already prepared in the factory with a priming layer of lead white oil paint. In certain areas of Portrait of a Peasant, the white priming layer, now slightly yellowed, shows through. With the smooth white canvas on his easel, Van Gogh's first step was to establish his composition with a charcoal underdrawing. This image was produced by infrared reflectography, which penetrates the upper paint layers of a picture to provide a black and white image of the underdrawing. Because the paint is so thick and dense, the infrared reflectograph of this portrait does not clearly reveal any underdrawing. Instead, it makes evident Van Gogh's linear handling of the brush in parts of the face, where he was probably following his charcoal underdrawing very closely. Van Gogh's next step was to apply his first layer of paint. This underlayer of light blue and green imparts distinct tones to different areas of the picture's surface. The green underlayer used for the hat and face shows through between brushstrokes in the crown and brim of the hat. In the face, this green underlayer, which is almost completely covered over, lends an earthy tone to the yellows, tans, and reds on the surface. Color was of primary interest to Van Gogh at this time. As he wrote to his brother, he wanted to use color to express himself forcefully in his art. Van Gogh depicts a range of vibrant pigments on his palette in a self-portrait from 1888. He often discussed his ideas about color with his brother. In one letter, he asks Theo to send him pigments such as zinc white, Veronese green, chrome yellow, vermilion, geranium lake, Prussian blue, orange lead, and emerald green. The colors Van Gogh used in the Portrait of a Peasant include a lemon-toned chrome yellow for the hat, vermilion and red lakes for the orange-red tones in the face, emerald green mixed with a cold, clean hue of zinc white for the jacket. For the variegated blue background, Van Gogh used both a cool, bright cobalt and a darker Prussian blue. The marbled effect that he created, here seen under high magnification, lends a sense of movement and shifting light to the painting. The artist referred to himself as an arbitrary colorist. It is in the face and eyes that he departed most from naturalistic representation towards this arbitrary approach to color. Turquoise blue for the white of the eyes, a hot orange red for the corners, bright yellow for the highlights in moss green irises. Here, Van Gogh waited for each application of paint to dry before adding the next, so that the individual touches of complementary color remain distinct from one another, the cool tones contrasting with the warm. As Van Gogh described it himself, he portrayed this terrific man in the very furnace of harvest time deep in the south, hence the oranges blazing like red-hot iron, hence the old gold tones glowing in the darkness. The painting exhibits an enormous variety of brushwork. Loose, seemingly wild brushstrokes contrast with passages of great control. The paint consistency ranges from thin to extremely thick. In places like the man's jacket, Van Gogh handles his brush almost as if he is drawing instead of painting. The individual strokes are not blended, but remain as distinct as lines drawn with chalk. As part of the examination, the painting was photographed under raking light. Rays of light were directed at the painting at an extreme angle, almost parallel to the surface of the picture, in order to make highly visible the surface texture of the painting. Using a brush loaded with stiff but malleable paint, Van Gogh achieves a rugged impasto. The paint stands up in peaks and ridges throughout. The yellow and orange tones of the hat were applied using a wet-in-wet technique, in which layers of wet paint are applied on top of each other. Precisely rendered parallel ridges of paint imitate the weave and texture of straw. On the bottom right edge of the hat's brim, the paint has been deliberately smudged, possibly with the artist's finger. The vigorous execution of the face captures most vividly the essential qualities of the subject. Paint lying in peaks and furrows suggests the deep wrinkles of sun and age-weathered flesh. Directional strokes circle the eyes. Short, expanding strokes make up the tufts of the beard. Altogether, the painting is a craggy field of paint, more like a landscape than a face. A last refinement was the red-orange outline Van Gogh added after all the other paint layers had dried, in order to strengthen the shape of the shoulders. In a letter to Theo, Vincent lamented that Parisians would misunderstand this work as caricature because they lacked an appreciation for rough things. The signature in fiery red is an indication that Van Gogh knew he had created a portrait of unprecedented audacity.